Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. We got a little bit of a throwback to the classic days of the channel, right, with this red background. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to handle this background nowadays, and I'm sure you guys are pretty frustrated because I've asked in like every review you've seen for a while, oh, I want to hear your suggestions for what I should do. And then for you guys, it's going to seem like I'm just flat out ignoring you because the background obviously is not conforming to whatever suggestions you may or may not be giving. But that's because of pre-scheduled content, right? Pre-recorded and scheduled out months in advance. So I am taking your comments into consideration, and you will eventually see some of those changes implemented, if I think they're good changes, which they probably will be because you guys are a bunch of smarties, and you know what? You know what you want out of these videos. So today we're taking a look at this knife here, the Miguron Moyarl. Let's go ahead and get this review started. So, blade length measurement. Also, I apologize for all the shadows. I'm recording this at a different time of day than I normally do. Sharpened edge. We're looking at just a hair under 3 inches, like just a hair. All the way back here, 3 1/4 inches. You know, it's a very EDC sized folder. Let's go ahead and bring out our size comparisons. First of all, there's our Rat 1. And where's our Rat 2? There he is. Get over here, you little sucker. And there's our Rat 2. Very, very cool. I guess. I'm not sure why I said that. Next, let's go ahead and bring out our USA made comparisons. Here is the Benchmade Bug Out. And here is the Spyderco PM2. Good deal. And let's bring out our budgety comparisons. Here's our Civivi Praxis and the Civivi Elementum, the Elementum 2 in this case. And let's close up comparisons here today with a comparison against the Vosti Nightshade, just because these are two gray knives and they're kind of the same size. And then, since I have it right now and I'm in the honeymoon phase, here is the Devo Growler, which actually these two knives do have some similarities, but there you go. All right, what are we looking at for our materials here? Well, we have a 14C 28N drop point blade, beautiful drop point blade. We've got G10 scales, gray in this case, although there are other options available. Focus up, camera. There we go, thank you. We have a steel liner lock, and we have a titanium pocket clip. So let's go ahead, get to the cutting footage. There's nothing like a full tank of gas and driving down some old dirt road you've never been down before. Some big old buzzards on that elk carcass. That guy's picking out the eye. Big old bloated cow. Alrighty guys, that's the day we've all been waiting for. The video of the Miguron Moyarl. Clean up some of the remains of other testing videos. Alright, so yeah, Miguron Moyarl. It's making splashes, right? A lot of people really like this knife. Let's oh, that's right, my tripod's broken. Haha! Yeah, so Miguron Moyarl has been making waves. Yeah, you know, I can understand why. I can absolutely understand why. Let's go ahead and talk about that action. This knife has a perfect detent. An absolutely perfect detent. Very smooth on the close. Perfect pill-shaped hole. There are bugs everywhere. They are eating me up. You see all these things? Get off me, get off me. They're everywhere. Okay. Oh, wow. They're all over my box. Oh, and I just moved my tripod, so my little thing I rigged up fell out. Oh, broken tools, broken tools. Let's see. Wow, this might be the last video I make today. I gotta get out of these bugs. Just swallowed one. Anyways, yeah, perfect detent. The pill-shaped hole is absolutely excellent for the reverse flick, as well as the thumb flick. And you can get to it very easily. I mean, with the thumb flick, for a righty, you've got all kinds of access. But the reverse flick, you also get good access. As a lefty, you get excellent access on the reverse flick. And on the thumb flick, yeah, you can still get it perfectly fine. So that's awesome. This is a pretty lefty-friendly knife. Running on bearings, as you can tell. But yeah, very, very good action. This feels like a very high-end action, for sure. Ergonomics. They're okay. They look like they'd be better than they are. The ergos are fine, right? This knife is usable. You've got a nice choil that you can get up into. That's something I hadn't noticed before. Getting a little bit of lock flex. We'll see if that wears in. Anyways, the ergonomics look great. For me, though, they leave a lot to be desired. I think this knife could be a lot more comfortable. The edges are a little bit sharp. It's kind of blocky. If they had contoured the scales and recessed the liners, I think it would have improved the ergos quite a bit. As it is, like just for day-to-day EDC, they're perfectly fine. They are not going to bother you at all. All right, let's talk about the carry. So we have a titanium pocket clip, which is cool to see at this price point, that is reversible. So lefties, rejoice. They thought about you. You know what? You piece of crap. Yeah, this is the last video I'm filming today. I'm tired of messing with this thing. Let's see, what can I rig up real quick? Oh, screw you, you piece of crap. You know what? Here. There we go. There's a good view of the pocket. It works fine. Not a deep carry clip, but I don't really think it needs to be. Comes out, goes in perfectly. It's nice and easy to get to. No complaints there. All right, let's go ahead and get to the cutting. So, our blade steel is 14C 28N. This knife was not very sharp out of the box, so I did put my own edge on here. As you can see, maybe you can see, we do have a very nice mirror polished edge on here, and this thing is nasty. So, let's go ahead and let's do our cutting. Flat grind on this guy. Woo! Yeah, that's a good edge. That's a good edge. Don't want to dump my trash everywhere. Go right there. Drop point blade shape. You guys all know it's a very versatile blade shape. I like it a lot. You can do utility cuts just fine. You can get to that tip pretty well. Absolutely no problem while slicing either. Very, very nice performance there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call it quits. I'm getting eaten up by bugs. Let's do a little bit of our rope pull. Very, very nice. Wow, that did excellently. Very, very pleased with that. With this flat grind, you do get a little bit of robustness, robusticity? I don't know, robustness behind the edge, so that's always good to see. All right, let's do our pool noodle. Whoa, went a little bit goofy there. You know, I've noticed that mirror polished edges actually mess up the pool noodle test quite a bit. If you guys go back through my videos and you watch any knife that, geez, all these gnats, has a mirror polished edge when I do the review cutting, really struggles to do the pool noodle. So let's just see what we got here. That time I caught the choil. Okay, yeah, that mirror polished edge gets a little bit sticky going through there, but the geometry itself cuts very, very nicely. No problems with that whatsoever. All right, let's get back to the table. I'm going to get out of these damn bugs. Well, that was a pretty nice day in the mountains. It's so nice up here. It's cool and crisp. I love that little breeze. And yeah, it reminds me of home. Although one thing that these mountains have, that the ones I'm used to don't, is those little gnats. Oh, I hate those things. I'm not sure what they are, but I hate them. I hate them. And also the geology around here is quite a bit different. We've got lots of limestone. And where I'm from, it's all Proterozoic granite and gneiss. And basically just igneous metamorphic rocks. But yeah, very, very cool. Very beautiful out here. A little bit lower elevation than back home, but I love it. Alrighty. We are back. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this very popular knife. Number one, it's an attractive looking design, right? This is a good looking knife. I think that drop point blade looks really, really good. I think the handle and the blade complement each other pretty well. So yeah, very, very good looking knife, and it does look very EDC-able. Next thing, I like that it has a titanium pocket clip, and this titanium pocket clip works pretty well. Focus up, camera. Don't know what's going on here. Might just be the time of day when I'm choosing to record this. Anyways, very nice titanium pocket clip. It does work really well in and out of the pocket, and it's reversible. Thank you, Miguron, for looking out for that 10% of the population. You know, they really appreciate it. I gotta say, I've said this before. I think lefties gotta be more than 10% of the population these days. They have to be. I don't have any numbers on that. I don't know if there are any numbers on that. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust the camera a little bit. But I've known so many left-handed people. I'm related to two left-handed people that are really, really close in relation. So it's gotta be very, very common. Or I'm just, you know, meeting 10% of the population. But yeah, lefty friendly, which is awesome. And the opening hole is pretty accessible to righties and lefties. And let's talk about that action. Keyhole shaped deployment hole. It works very well. This knife has a perfectly tuned detent. Very, very nice. This thing is absolutely a dream to deploy. Listen to that. It is running on bearings, as you might imagine. And yeah, the action is just tuned perfectly. Even if you're someone who's never deployed a hole deployment knife, you would get this first try. I absolutely guarantee it. Hole deployment is not the easiest for some people, right? A lot of people have to like slow roll it. Flicking off of a thumb hole is not easy for a lot of people. This knife, I'm sure you could hand this to a newbie and they'd be able to get it first try. This is also a great knife for reverse flicking. So if you're not very good at reverse flicking, get this knife and practice on. I think you'll get really, really good. Access to the lock bar is fantastic. They chamfered that liner really, really nicely. Focus up, camera. Thank you. So you can get to it easily, disengage, and it's very smooth on the close. Perfectly centered. Fit and finish was very good on this knife out of the box. They do offer multiple versions. I have this gray here. I like the gray color. This would be a great base for dyeing if I decide to do that. And the finish on the blade is also really, really nice. Let's focus in here. If it's going to. So we have a stone wash on the flat, or on the grind, and we've got a satin on the flats, and yes, there's fingerprints all over it. But what a good looking finish. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I love a stone wash, and this is a very, very good one. We've also got a very nice mirror edge on this 14C28N. So yeah, very, very cool. The blade shape itself is also very nice. A drop point, it's very versatile. You're going to be able to use this in a lot of different applications. I do like that they've got this little Miguron branding on the pivot that keeps the blade clean. Really, really appreciate that. The grippiness on the G10 is good. They have T8 hardware all the way around, which is awesome. Nice little backspacer here. Blade steel marking right there. Focus. Gosh, I'm going to have to remember, don't record after work. 6 o'clock at night is not a good time to record. Yeah, let's grab a flashlight and see if we can maybe change that a little. There we go. 14C28N. There's the blade steel marking. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And yeah, all that's really, really good. Let's talk about the ergonomics. They're fine. The ergos are fine. This knife, you know, you can hold it like this and it's good. You can choke up in here and it's all right. We will talk about the ergonomics a little bit later. One thing I do want to bring attention to is the price. This is a $47 knife, and I think that's an absolute steal. The build quality is very, very good. The materials are right where you want them to be. 14C, G10, and titanium for the clip. It's a lot of value. And yeah, I think they absolutely hit it out of the park with the value. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get on to some of the things that I don't like. And one thing we're going to start with, this isn't really a complaint, this is just something I found to be funny. The name, Moyarl. Okay, so every time I would Google this knife, no, not right now, I don't know. Just got a new computer and it's giving me all kinds of weird notifications. Okay, so every time I Googled the name of this knife, Moyarl, if you just type Moyarl into Google, all it brings you to are results about this knife. Oh look, there's Mel Complex's video. Awesome. Knives Fast, shout out to him. There's his video too. Yeah. Not really helpful. So then, you know, okay, well, Google the meaning of Moyarl. All that would come up is mayoral. Okay, so I started thinking, okay, so Moyarl, I know a Jarl is like a Norse or Danish leader. It's a chief, it's a Viking term, right? So, you know, there's Jarl. Okay, maybe they're spelling, maybe there's something that's Moyarl, Jarl with a J. I don't know. Googled that, nothing came up. I tried putting this word into Google Translate under every language I could think of. I even went to Google Scholar and typed in this word, and the only thing that came up was a couple of things in like Spanish and what was the other language? I can't remember. But anyways, I tried copying that into Google, and the only reason that word came up is because it was like abbreviations for last names. You can see here, Moya, RL, so RL Moya. So yeah, it was Catalan. So yeah, not a whole lot. I don't know what the heck this name means. Is it a big deal? No, absolutely not. But it is a weird word, Moyarl. It's a very weird word. I wish I knew what it meant. Maybe it has some meaning. I'm going to wipe those fingerprints off the blade. If it does, I don't know. But for right now, I'm stumped. I'm guessing it's a word they just made up, which I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but a little bit interesting. Okay, so let's get on to some actual complaints. Let's talk about the ergonomics first, because the ergonomics on this knife, I think, are actually not all that great. Number one, I wish there was jimping up here, but I always wish there was jimping. That's something I prefer on my knives. I feel like I feel like jimping's a feature that I appreciate a lot. I feel like it's something I appreciate. That's not a good way to say that. Jimping is something I appreciate, and there's no jimping here, so, you know, it's not great. They do give you an amazing choil, that's great, but choked up here, this corner is a little bit sharp, right? I can feel that kind of digging in. The knife is a little bit blocky in the handle. These corners are not really squared off. They're kind of, or not really rounded off. They're kind of knocked down, kind of. But again, if I'm squeezing up here, I can feel this little corner digging into my hand. If I hold the knife just back here, There's nothing super like wrong. Like the clip doesn't bother me. The handle shape is pretty neutral, but the blockiness just feels a little bit unnatural. It makes it hard to find my edge alignment when I'm holding this knife, right? And so that was something I definitely noticed. I think they could have fixed this by maybe contouring the scales or sinking the liners under the scales, countersinking the liners. Would that have brought the price up? Maybe, but I don't know. I don't think it would have brought it up that much. But yeah, just the ergos felt very off to me. And another thing that made the ergos feel weird to me is that the blade to handle ratio is a little bit off in this knife. We've got a very small blade compared to the handle, and sometimes it doesn't look like that. And when it's folded up, you can see that, yeah, we've got a little bit more handle that's not being filled with blade. But at first glance, it doesn't look like there's anything apparently off. But once you start using it, you feel like, okay, this is a little bit awkward. And then you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that blade to handle ratio's weird. And so, again, the ergonomics are not bad. Like, this isn't something where you grab it and it's like, oh yeah, that's unusable. They're just not good. And that was my biggest problem with this knife. And I really, really want to love this knife. I know a lot of people do, and I like this knife. This is a good knife, I'll tell you that right now. But this is not a knife that I love just because the ergos don't work for me. If they work for you, that's great. But for me, they leave a lot to be desired. Again, they're not necessarily bad, but they're not good. They're just not good. So that's something that is a little bit disappointing to me. Next thing, and this is a much bigger complaint, this knife was so dull out of the box. It was so dull. And I've heard that Miguron has had some sharpening issues, but I got this knife with the Pelora, and that knife was razor sharp, like hair splitting sharp out of the box. This one was pretty dull. So then I went to use it, just to use it with a factory edge, and it went like completely dull. At first it would like kind of cut paper. It'd leave hairs behind. It wasn't a very smooth cut, but it would still cut. After just a couple of days of using it, it was completely dull, like butter knife dull. Okay, fine, whatever. So I went to sharpen it, and I gotta say, sharpening it turned into a chore. This did not sharpen like other 14C28N I have used in the past. It fought me every step of the way. Eventually, of course, I won, as we can see here from this beautiful, beautiful edge. But it didn't feel like 14C. Now, what it did feel like was maybe this had a burned edge, and that's something I've experienced with other knives. And so when I went to, obviously that edge is not very good, and it wears out quickly, which, I had happen with this knife. When I went to sharpen, it felt, what's the word? The stones felt a little bit gummy on this. So instead of like that nice shink, shink, shink you want off of your stones, it's more like a I probably sound like a baboon right now, but that's the only way I can explain it. Instead of grinding the steel away, it was kind of like just cutting into it, and it was just really not good. And I went through all of my stones. Actually, I went through most of my stone. I went through my second highest abrasive to my second lowest abrasive, and it wasn't very sharp. It was a terrible edge. So I went again, took my highest, or I guess my lowest grit abrasive, my most coarse abrasive, and I really hogged off a lot of material, and then I worked through my other stones, and now it's a great edge. Just got some paper here. I've been using it a little bit. Yeah, now it's a good edge. It's been holding its edge, like I would expect 14C to. I don't always take 14C to a polish like this. I usually leave it a little bit coarser. I did take this one to a polish just because I wanted to do a very thorough sharpening of this knife. And also that mirror edge causes problems with the pool noodle test for the review cutting, which I forgot about. But if you go back through my content, every knife I review that has a mirror polished edge at the time of the cutting does terrible at the pull noodle. The pull noodle just like sticks to the mirror section. So we have to remember to try not to do that, or come up with a way to test a mirror polished edge for the things that the pool noodle demonstrates without using a pool noodle. We'll see. But yeah, that definitely was not something that I enjoyed. I'm not sure if the heat treat was off on this. It seems to be functioning fine now. I would guess it was a burned edge, but it could be something else. I haven't heard any problems from Miguron steel from other people yet, so this might be a one-off thing. I have heard that they did used to have some sharpening issues. I heard that they're trying to get that worked back in, so the dullness on my model might have been a result of a bad edge, or it could have been, burned edge, or it could have been a bad sharpening job. I don't know, but it's fixed now, so that's all that matters, right? Okay, let's go ahead and go on to my final conclusions. Final conclusions, this is a very good knife. And the price tag is what makes it very, very good. This knife is built very, very well. And I gotta say, you know, I was talking about how I wish the liners were recessed. Honestly, I do like the look of the liners. I like the look of full liners. So I do like the look of this knife. I think that looks very, very cool. But functionally, ergonomically, I think it would have been better to have them recessed. The build quality of this knife is fantastic. It's really, really good. And for only 47 bucks, 14C, G10, and titanium, that's fantastic value. That's amazing. The build quality is pretty impressive at that price tag. And so if we're just thinking about value, this knife is absolutely wonderful. And you've heard that from a lot of reviewers, right? A lot of people have been really impressed with this knife. If we're talking about the knife itself as a design, I'm not super convinced. I don't think it's the most amazing thing out there. There are a lot of knives that will give you much better ergonomics and performance than this one will. One that comes to my mind right now, and this is a knife that I haven't got in yet, but I'm going to try to, is the thumb hole version of the Vosti Nightshade. This is an amazing knife, fantastic cutter, great blade shape, great ergos. And so if you go for the thumb hole version, which is pretty similar to this, it's a little bit more expensive, yes, but it's a much better design. So, difficult question. Do I recommend this knife? Yes, I do actually. It's a very affordable knife, and it is a good knife. It's a well-made knife. It's got a fantastic action, and it's got some really, really great materials, and it is a usable knife, right? Don't get me wrong, this is a usable knife, and just like anything, if this is going to be your EDC knife, you will adjust to it, and it may serve you very, very well. However, if you're looking for a very good EDC knife, you want to prioritize performance, and you're willing to spend more than $50, I would point you somewhere else. I think there's a lot of other options. Like right now, off the top of my head, if someone asked me for a budget knife recommendation, I'm sending them to the CJRB Pyrite. I'm sending them to the Syncut Serene. I'm sending them to the Vosti Nightshade. You know, it's a little bit more expensive, but you know, all these different knives are popping into my head before the Miguron Moyarl. And honestly, I think I would recommend the Pelora before the Moyarl, even though Pelora has its own issues. It's pretty heavy, but you know, this knife here, it's a good knife, but I think you can pass. So yeah, those are my honest thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And that's going to be it for this video. Good knife, but I think there's better knives out there. And heck, even in this price category, get a CJRB Feldspar, you know, get a Feldspar. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.